Mystery Theater, starring Tom Conway as Inspector Mark Saber of the Homicide Squad in The Case of the
Boy, is he loaded.
Take a look at him.
Just another drunk. Why bother? I really want to get home, Mark. Oh, all right. All right, partner. Snap out of it. Come on, come on. You can't sleep here.
Wait a minute, Tim. This may not be what you think.
He's just drunk.
He's just dead.
Dead?
I'm pretty sure he's not been drinking. I'll call the coroner.
I'm coming. Oh, good evening, Mr. Saber. Didn't hear you make your entrance.
Evening, Corpus.
Now, there's a letter come from a long ways. Dunmark, where's that located?
Hadn't you better answer the door?
Oh, the door, yes, sir.
I just wanted to return this book I bought in the Inspector Corpus.
Yes, sir. Oh, this one about physiology.
Psychology Corpus.
Oh, is that the way you spell it? Let me see if,
Welcome in, Doctor.
Oh, thank you. For a moment. That was the most interesting book on criminal psychology.
I'm glad you liked it. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. For a moment.
How about a drink?
Well, it's always a pleasant idea.
Corpus.
Huh? Oh, did you holler, boss?
2 of your Corpus Delicti specials.
Coming right up, sir.
You know, I can't help but think, Inspector, how similar our jobs are.
With one exception.
What's that?
You usually see them before they're dead. That must be my assistant. I'm expecting a report from him. Excuse me.
Of course.
Hi, Tim. Did you get anything?
I think so, Inspector.
Good. You're just in time for a drink.
No, thanks.
Meet my neighbor, Dr. Randall. Dr. Randall, Sergeant Maloney.
Glad to know you, Doctor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Corpus invented these himself.
Oh, really?
I hope you like it.
Most refreshing.
That isn't what my wife would say. She can smell what I'm going to drink next month.
What'd you find out, Tim?
Oh, the coroner says he'll have to do an autopsy. He's baffled. He said the marks on the man's body reminded him of purpura burns, whatever they are.
Purpura burns.
Did you say purpura?
Yeah, at least that's what the coroner said, but what's it mean?
Means burns caused by overexposure to radioactive substances.
You mean, in other words, atomic poisoning?
Oh, don't pin me down. For the meantime, let's say it means the invisible death, because that's what it is.
You mean you're familiar with that?
It's my business to be familiar with just about everything concerning death. What else did you find out?
Oh, he was an Italian named Tony Stroma. He was about 45, worked as a day laborer, and lived over on the east side.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but what were the circumstances surrounding this man's death?
He was stumbling along as though he were drunk.
And died suddenly on the sidewalk almost right in front of us.
Would it be possible for me to see this man's body?
Perhaps. Why?
Well, a colleague of mine, Dr. Krantz, described 2 similar cases to me just recently. He said that each of these patients died following mysterious symptoms also.
More atomic poisoning?
Is he sure? Does he know how they were exposed to it?
No, he was mystified, almost afraid to mention it. Perhaps I shouldn't have spoken.
It's just as well you did. Later on, I may want to meet this friend of yours.
Could be 3 invisible deaths instead of just 1.
Could be, Tim.
But how is it done, and how can you trace it?
It could be done by innocent exposure of the victim to atomic radiation. Death is inevitable. We're going to the coroner's office. I'd like you to come along, Doctor.
Yes, yes, of course. I should be pleased to.
Well, Doctor, the coroner's shown you the body.
It's amazing. Oh, I admit the burns do look like radiation burns, but it's impossible. The man couldn't have died from radioactivity.
What do you think?
I don't know what to think. This is all very new, you know.
I noticed a number tattooed on his forearm, exactly like the identification number of a prisoner in a European concentration camp.
Of course.
Something strike you, Doctor?
Why, if... No, I guess not.
Harry, where could I find out more about this radiation business?
The Pacific Chemical is conducting some experiments, I believe. Why not go see Professor Malatek there?
Good idea. I think I will. Doctor, I must warn you to forget anything you've seen or anything I've said.
Of course. I understand.
So you agree with my deduction, Professor Malatek? This man must have died from radiation.
I would say that the evidence indicates radiation.
How could an ordinary man like Stromer come in contact with such a deadly exposure?
As I told you before, the exposure to the radioactive substance, whatever it was, must have taken place at least 10 days ago. It takes that long for a person to die of such a cause.
Then the victim could be subjected to radiation without even knowing it.
Perhaps, but I am a man of science. I don't like to guess.
It's possible this man was murdered that way.
It's possible, but how could he have been exposed?
Yes, he wasn't a scientist or laboratory worker. Couldn't have been exposed professionally.
And that's about all you can say for sure. This is a very, very baffling situation, Inspector.
Suppose some radioactive substance were stolen from an atomic pile. What then?
It would probably kill the thief. Besides, it's utterly impossible. All such matter is under the closest government guard.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Well, thank you very much, Professor.
If your suspicions of murder are true, then the man behind it is supremely clever and diabolical indeed. Do you really think, Mr. Saber, that this is murder?
It has certain familiar earmarks. If it is murder, I'm going to find the murderer.
And if you do, I will be the first to congratulate you. If you need any further help, please call on me.
Thanks, I will. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Mark.
Did you get a line on those two victims mentioned by Dr. Randall?
I sure did. Both were Europeans, the same as the fellow Stromer. And I tried to locate that Dr. Krantz that Randall mentioned. But he doesn't seem to have any office.
Check with the Medical Association, see if he's a member.
Okay.
There's someone else I want you to find, a girl named Ilga. I found her name in this letter in Stromer's room.
I figured there'd have to be a dame in there somewhere. It says, tell Ilga. Tell her what?
I wish I knew.
All right, I'll get to her some way. I'll start making contacts and getting the word around the right places.
Good. You keep insisting these men weren't murdered, Doctor. But assuming they were killed by radioactivity, have you any idea how it could have been done?
Now, look here, Saber. The whole idea is so fantastic, it isn't even worth considering.
Just the same, those three guys are dead.
And they were killed by atomic poisoning.
That is still just conjecture.
Not any longer. Your own statement gave me a hint as to how they died. Now I'm positive.
Very well. Assuming all right. Suppose you tell me how it was done.
All right, I will. The murderer had access to an atomic pile or some other source of radium energy.
Impossible.
He stole some article belonging to the victim and placed it in proximity to the source of radium energy until it became charged with a deadly amount of radioactivity. Then he placed the article so treated where his victim would use it.
Well, I suppose it could be done in that manner. But you're forgetting one thing.
What's that, Doctor?
Only accredited scientists and technicians ever have access to an atomic pile. No, my dear Saber. Atomic energy is one of the most closely guarded projects in the world today. What you suggest is utterly impossible. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Now, what do you suppose got into him?
I wonder myself. Tim, we took it for granted there was no source of atomic energy or radium here in this town. I want you to check that.
But how?
Call the Atomic Energy Commission, the General Hospital, chemical testing laboratories. It won't be difficult.
Okay.
And, Tim, I want to see Krantz and that girl Ilga as soon as possible.
I'm already working on it. You'll hear from Krantz shortly.
Are you Mr. Saber?
Yes? What can I do for you?
I understand you want to talk to me. My name is Krantz.
Oh, yes. Come in, Dr. Krantz. I've been expecting you. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
I understand you're a practicing physician.
You're wrong, Mr. Saber. I do not practice medicine.
Oh? I was under the impression you had some patients.
In my country, I was a successful doctor, but here the authorities have not seen fit to give me a license.
But you do treat sick people occasionally.
I have some friends whom I have helped.
I believe you recently attended some people who died from an overdose of radiation.
Who told you that?
That's not important. Nor is it important that you have no license. What I'm trying to determine is whether or not those men were murdered.
You may be sure. They were murdered.
By whom?
I don't know.
Why?
I'm not sure. I believe it was to silence them.
About what?
I'm not sure. Yet. Mr. Saber, I can't say any more now. I know nothing for certain except that I am not implicated. These men were my countrymen and my friends.
I see. Doctor, would you mind showing me your right forearm?
That is not necessary. I will tell you now that I do have a number tattooed on my arm. I know what you're thinking. The dead men also had such numbers tattooed on their arms. Let me tell you that there are hundreds of thousands more, just like us. Both men and women, all over the world. Yes, I was in a concentration camp.
And you can give me no idea of the identity of the murderer?
I know nothing. I can't say any more now. I must go now.
I'll have to talk to you again. Where can I reach you?
Through Dr. Randall. I'm always in touch with him.
Very well.
Good night, Mr. Saber. Watch out for yourself.
Hello? Oh, Tim?
Hello, Mark. Did you hear from Krantz?
Yes, he just left.
I finally got a line on the girl Ilga.
Good. Tell me more.
I located her home address. You can catch her there tomorrow morning.
Give me the address. I think I'll have a talk with her right away. Thanks, Tim.
We'll return to Mystery Theater in just a moment.
Pardon the intrusion this late at night, miss.
Who are you? And what do you want?
My name is Mark Saber from police headquarters. It seems we've met before. In a lunchroom, I believe.
Ja. Ja, mein Name ist Ilga Becker.
I've got to talk to you on business. May I come in?
Ja, if you must. What do you want? I've done nothing.
I wanted to talk to you about a friend of yours, that's all.
Which one?
Tony Stromer. He was a friend of yours, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Before he died recently.
Do you know how he died?
He was sick for almost 2 weeks.
Who was his doctor?
He had none. He knew a man by the name of Krantz, who was a doctor in Europe. Tony was coming to see me when he died. We were very good friends.
Did he have any enemies? I mean, the kind that would try to harm him?
None in this country.
The words, "tell Ilga," were found in the effects of this friend of yours who died mysteriously. What was it someone wanted to tell you?
I don't know.
Don't keep anything back. This may concern your own safety, too.
Well, I believe Tony did know something about another person. He would never talk much. He suddenly came to be in constant fear.
Have you heard of the mafia?
Oh, hasn't. That's a terrible thing. They threaten and they kill.
Did you know its leader here in this city?
Why should I?
Did Tony?
Why should he?
I believe Tony was mixed up with the mafia. Perhaps willingly, perhaps not. I think he knew too much about someone and so was murdered.
Murdered? You mean that Tony was...
Yes, murdered. In a way the murderer thinks will never be traced.
But why do you come to me? Do you think I'm connected with it?
Your name is linked with that of the victim. Tell me, did you have anything to do with this?
No.
Then you won't mind cooperating with me if I need you. If you're holding any other facts from me, you better speak up now.
I'm not hiding anything.
Then let me warn you. Don't talk about this. Don't see any friend of Tony's. And I may have to have you watched.
All right.
Good night, Ilga.
Good night, Mr. Saber.
Well, Mark, through the grapevine, I learned there is trouble in the local mafia. And the leader, whose identity is a closely guarded secret, fears exposure.
Oh. Anything new on the radium?
Yes, I did turn up something. There is a gram of radium at the county hospital.
There is. Then this may be our missing clue. Find out quickly if anybody at Pacific Chemicals had access to that radium. Then meet me at my apartment. Hurry, Tim.
Okay, Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Saber.
Evening, Corpus. As the sergeant called, I was delayed in getting here.
No, sir, everything's quiet as a grave. Grave? What am I saying?
Why should you be jittery?
All this talk about radioactivity, I never knew it could be so much wrong connected with just plain radio.
Hello, Tim. Any luck?
Couldn't find out too much without tipping our net. But Pacific Chemical, that lab, did have some dealings with the county hospital regarding the radium.
Who did you question?
I went to both places, the hospital first, then the lab. That fellow, Malatek at Pacific Chemical.
What did he say?
He was very non-committal.
He's an odd character. Well, we have some business tonight that might be a little tricky.
You mean I'm going to have to miss dinner with my family again?
I'm afraid so, Tim. But I'll have Corpus fix us something here. Did you have any luck in finding out more about that fellow Krantz?
Is he a suspect?
Very possibly. He's a foreigner. The mafia's foreign. He may well be mixed up in this. He has no office, no place he can be reached.
Except through Dr. Randall.
Exactly.
And what about Randall? Do you think he's on the square?
I wonder. At least he's in a very embarrassing position. Perhaps somebody's trying to force him into it. On the other hand, he may be the brains behind the whole thing.
Yeah, it could be at that.
But I'm inclined to believe the criminal is a foreigner. So far, all the victims have been European refugees.
So far, so good. Now, where do we go tonight?
To Ilga Becker's apartment.
Why go to Ilga's place?
Because we may meet a radioactive visitor there.
But why did you come here again? I told you I know nothing.
But somebody else probably thinks you do. That could be fatal, and that's why I'm here.
Then please, go away. What are you going to do?
Nothing except hide a few Geiger counters around your apartment.
Geiger counters? What are they?
Electronic detectors. If any radioactive material comes near, they'll tip me off.
Where do you want this one?
By the window there.
Why involve me? I told you all I knew. Please go away.
Must I remind you that your name is linked with the last victim? All I want to do is to hide these Geiger counters around the place and then wait in that vacant apartment across the hall and see what happens.
But I don't want to be mixed up in this.
You already are. You can join me across the hall. I want your apartment to look empty. That one goes in the bedroom. Let's hurry. No time to lose.
Everything set, Mark?
Yes.
I hope we're not disappointed.
Suppose someone does come in. How can you tell it is a murderer?
He'll bring some radioactive materials with him if you're the intended victim.
But how can you know hidden over here?
These instruments will warn us. Here it is.
What do you know?
You cover the fire escape from the hall. I'll move right in. Ilga, bring this with you.
Yeah.
Stop, I'll shoot. I said stop. Tim, quick, put on these gloves. Get that lead box. Put those metal things back in it. Ilga, here, quick.
Yeah.
Good, we're safe now. Geiger counter stopped. No wonder I couldn't stop him. He's wearing the latest type bulletproof vest. Now let's see what this baby looks like. It's Malotech from the chemical laboratory.
Not Malotech, but Peter Mollis, the beast of the European concentration camps.
What do you mean?
In Europe during the war, he was an arch fiend. He put hundreds of our fellows to death, like animals.
Then Tony Stromer must have been a prisoner in one of his camps.
Yeah, Tony knew him too. I can't stand the sight of him.
That explains it.
Explains what?
I understand it all now. That fiend entered the country illegally and thought he could hide under another identity here.
Tony must have caught sight of him and recognized him.
So Marloff had to get rid of Tony as well as the other two refugees for similar reasons.
Right. Marloff was one of the few men to escape trial by the War Criminals Board. Over here, the Mafia smuggled him in, protected him, and used him. Being a clever man, he used deadly radiation as a means for invisible murder.
But how about Dr. Randall and that fella Krantz?
Krantz is a countryman also.
Randall and Krantz were also trying to uncover the arch-criminal, but having to be very careful, they also looked suspicious for a time.
This is really one for the books. Do you think I can call Maggie now?
Yes, I think you can. And I'm going to take Ilga for a cup of coffee and some food. She's earned it.
Join us again next week for another exciting adventure with Inspector Mark Saber of the Homicide Squad.